Alright, you've probably seen these videos floating around online. People claiming that there's an AI that can predict football results. Some of them have been getting some crazy amount of views. They're talking about how this AI is going to revolutionize betting and make everyone a ton of money. But here's the thing. It doesn't actually do that. And in this video, I'm going to show you why. I'm going to be going through exactly what they're doing, showing you some examples, and then showing you the truth behind all of these videos. So first of all, what are they actually saying? Well, they're this channel called AI for Better, and they re-saying that if you use Google Colab and run this code, you can get access to an AI model that can predict football results. They say that you can use it to generate some serious profits, and they even say that you could potentially beat the bookies. If you look into their video a little bit further, you will find out that it's basically just an ad for a paid course. That's pretty scummy because at the end of the day, they're not really giving anything away for free. They're just trying to get people to buy their course. Now you might be thinking, okay, well, maybe it does work. It's just a sales video. Why don't we just take a look at the code and see what it's actually doing? Well, if you go to Google Colab and run this notebook, it's actually really simple. It's literally just loading in a pre-trained model. What this means is that this model has already been trained on a bunch of data, and all you're redoing is loading it into your notebook so that you can use it to make predictions. There's nothing special about this. You can literally just load any pre-trained model and do the same thing. For example, if I wanted to load in a dog classifier that can tell me whether or not a picture has a dog in it, I can literally just load that model from TensorFlow Hub, and then I can use it to make predictions on new images. So what they're doing is simply loading in a pre-trained model that was trained by someone else. They're not claiming that they trained it themselves, but they're also not telling you where it came from. If you dig a little bit deeper into the code, you'll actually find out exactly where this model came from. It came from this GitHub repo. If you take a look at the README, it actually tells you everything that you need to know. The first thing that you'll notice is that this project was created by this guy named Vlad. He's a machine learning engineer. He was interning at PepsiCo. If you scroll down a bit, you'll actually find out that this project was actually his final year project for university. This is pretty important because it gives us a lot more context for what this project actually is. It's not some sort of amazing algorithm that's going to make you millions of dollars. It's just a university project. The next thing that you'll find is that this project was made to predict the outcome of football games using statistics that are publicly available. Now, this is super important because it means that this model is not using any sort of insider information or anything like that. It's literally just using publicly available data. They also tell you exactly what data they used. It's all open data. It's all available online, and they give credit to all of the sources that they used. They also tell you that they split the data up into 3 different sets: training set, validation set, and a test set. For those of you that don't know what this is, you're literally given 70% of the data to train the model, 15% to validate the model, and 15% to test the model. The way that they evaluated the model was using something called classification report. I won't go too deep into this, but essentially it's a metric that's used to evaluate the performance of a classification model. You'll also notice that they used something called logistic regression with L2 regularization. Logistic regression is a pretty basic algorithm that's used for classification problems, and L2 regularization is just a way to prevent overfitting. Another important thing to note is that they only had data for 1,800 games, which is not a lot when you consider the fact that there are thousands of football games every single year. Because they didn't have that much data, they had to use a small model, which means that the model isn't very complex. It's not able to capture all of the nuances of the data. Despite all of this, they were still able to get a pretty good accuracy of 64% on the test set. Now, if you're not sure whether or not 64% is good or not, let me put it into context for you. If you were to just guess the result of the game, you would have a 50% chance of getting it right, because there are only 2 possible outcomes. Therefore, 64% is better than just guessing, but it's not amazing. There's also another problem with this model, and that the fact that it's only trained on historical data. This means that it's not taking into account any of the future information that could potentially be useful. For example, if one of the players on the team is injured, the model won't know about that because it's only trained on historical data. Now, despite all of these limitations, people are still going crazy over this model. They're saying that it's gone, revolutionize betting, and that it's gone, make everyone millions of dollars. And here's the thing, it's not. Don't get me wrong, it's a pretty cool project for a university student to work on. But it's not going to make you millions of dollars. In fact, you probably wouldn't even make money if you tried to use this to bet on football games. Here's why. When you place a bet, you're not just trying to predict whether or not a certain event will happen. You're also trying to get the best odds possible. The best odds are usually on the draw because that's the most likely outcome. So let's say that our model is telling us that Team A has a 60% chance of winning against Team B. We're not going to bet on Team A because we can get better odds on the draw. This means that we're going to have to settle for a push if our model is correct, which means that we're not going to make any money. You might be thinking, well, why don't you just bet on both teams? The odds are usually pretty bad on both teams because it's unlikely that either team will win. Let me put this into perspective for you. Let's say that you had $1,000 and you wanted to make some money by betting on football games. You could either 1. Use this model to pick the games that you think are most likely to win, or 2. Just bet on the draw for every single game. If you do some research, you'll find that the average odds for a draw is around 3.5. If you bet on the draw for every single game, you would make $200 for every $1,000 that you bet. If you use this model to try to pick the winners, you would probably lose money because the odds are always better on the draw. This is why everyone is going crazy over this model. They're saying that it's going to make everyone millions of dollars, but it's not. In fact, you'd probably lose money if you tried to use it to bet on football games. That being said, I think it's still a cool project. It's a pretty good project for a university student to work on. And it shows the potential of using AI to analyze sports data. Who knows? Maybe in the future, we will have AI that can accurately predict the outcome of football games. But this is not it. Thank you for watching and good luck in your bets.